Ahead on American Sunrise, President Trump set to deliver remarks at the White House, explaining his plans for cleaning up Washington, D.C. He says, no more Mr. Nice Guy. Live coverage throughout the show. Plus, the Alaska summit. President Trump set to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin this week, but will Ukrainian President Zelensky be there as well? The latest ahead. And it's back to school season across the country. How is one school in Florida trying to give more people the choice for a better education? Those stories and more as American Sunrise starts on a Monday right now. Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
we have breaking news to share with you.
Politics.
President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
We've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrence.
And I'm Dr. Gina. Good morning. I'm Emily Finn, filling in today for Dr. Gina, live from West Palm Beach. Thank you so much for tuning in to American Sunrise. Let's bring in David Brody in Washington, D.C. and Terrence Bates in our Denver newsroom. Good morning, you guys. Happy Monday. I know we were talking about how we're getting caffeinated this morning. We've got a lot of big headlines to get to.
Yes, we do.
Absolutely.
Good morning, Emily.
David and Emily, good morning. So the biggest headline, I think, is that President Trump is going to be holding a news conference here in just a couple of hours, 10 o'clock Eastern time at the White House. He's already deployed 120 FBI agents to the streets of Washington, D.C., and there is talk that potentially National Guard troops could also be roaming the streets of Washington, D.C. All of this, David, in an effort to clean up the nation's capital. This really is huge news. It is unprecedented, and I hate to use that word because I feel like we use it too often, but this is really unprecedented that a sitting president would pretty much take control of Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, and that's basically what we're expecting to happen, David.
No doubt. Unprecedented and President Trump go in the same sentence, I think, ever since he glided down the escalator back in 2015, June of 2015. This is a big deal. And so you're going to hear a lot of liberals today, especially on CNN and MSNBC, say, well, you know what? Violent crime is down in D.C. over the last year or so. And that is technically true. Let's remember a couple of things here. First of all, okay, down from what? It's still in the top 5 of crime overall. And what President Trump is saying here is, look, not on my watch. He is the president of the United States who can control the National Guard, to bring in the National Guard to D.C. It's the only jurisdiction he can actually do that in alone by himself. So he's going to do it. He's got the power to do it. I think what's going to be interesting today, guys, is whether or not he actually mobilizes the D.C. Police force as well. That more controversial. He can do it. He can do it for 30 days. But after that, Congress would have to get involved. So we'll see about that. But look, obviously, I've been in D.C. the last 25, 30 years or so. I can't keep track now at this point. And obviously, there are tons of problems there. Especially there's a homeless problem right in that touristy area down in D.C. But beyond that, crime is rampant in 3/4 of the district, I should say. And the reason I say 3/4 is, you guys know, it's divided up into quadrants, right? Northwest, northeast, southeast, southwest. And northwest is the biggest quadrant where most of the tourists go. But the other 3 quadrants are just horrible. But what you're seeing there on the screen, this stuff is in the northwest. This is in the biggest quadrant right in front of tourists. And this is what Trump wants to clean up as well. So lots to unpack here. I've spoken long enough, Emily. It's time for a Bible verse, I think.
I think it is. It is. We are awaiting that presser at 10 a.m. But first, let's check in with the Bible. Yeah. Ephesians 3:16 to 19 is the verse today. It reads, that he would grant you, according to the riches of his glory, to be strengthened with might through his Spirit in the inner man, that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith, that you, being rooted and grounded in love, may be able to comprehend with all the saints what is the width and length and depth and height, to know the love of Christ, which passes knowledge, that you may be filled with all of the fullness of God. Great way to start out this Monday. Now, President Trump is slated to deliver a press conference in a little more than 90 minutes on his plans for Washington, D.C. We spoke about that a few moments ago. Trump posted this on Truth Social regarding Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser ahead of the address. He says the mayor of D.C. is a good person who has tried, but she has been given many chances, and the crime numbers get worse, and the city only gets dirtier and less attractive. The American public is not going to put up with it any longer, just like I took care of the border where you had 0 illegals coming across last month from millions the year before. I will take care of our cherished capital, and we will make it truly great again. Before the tense squalor, filth, and crime, it was the most beautiful capital in the world. It will soon be that again. For more, let's bring in Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett. Congressman, I want to get your take. What do you make of all of this, and what do you expect that we will hear from the president in just a few hours?
I suspect it's going to be classic Donald Trump. He's going to follow through with what he said. I think with the homeless situation, I was a mayor of Knox County. And in Knox County, I can't speak for Washington, but half those folks half of them are mentally ill or are actually veterans. And it's really it's a mark on this country. We need to de-escalate. You need to demagnetize. You create programs for people that come in for free with no, there's no credibility, no recognition, and it just gets overrun. And that's exactly what's happening. I want to remind you of something about Washington, D.C., how out of touch they are. And I like Mayor Bowser. She's a delightful lady, but I believe it's way over her head. When they sent a group of bureaucrats to speak to us in Congress about the crime situation, on that very day, in the middle of the day, a kid was carjacked right out near the Capitol. I remember he had a Jeep in broad daylight. And the thing that really ticked me off to show you how out of touch these bureaucrats are, I think they sent 6 white men there. And I said, maybe I'm the wrong person to be asking this dadgum question, but Washington, D.C. has got a lot of black folks, and I'm not seeing any black folks in this group. And they all shook their, well, it was this, that, and the other thing. And as I walked out, my friend Kwasi Mafumi, who we don't agree on anything other than I like him, and he seems like a good man, he complimented me on what I said. He said, I'm so glad you brought that up, because it just shows how out of touch the bureaucracy in Washington, D.C. is with the reality. Those pictures you're showing or movies or whatever of the tents, that's everywhere in Washington, D.C. It was, coming from East Tennessee, I'd drive up there and all these tents. I mean, who are these people camping? They're homeless. It's just these huge camps right in and outside of the area. It's filthy. It's dangerous. It needs to be cleaned up. Donald J. Trump's following through with what he said. Washington, D.C., as Reagan said, needs to be a bright, shining city on a hill. It is not. It is a dump, and it needs to be cleaned up.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, I take that trip into the White House often, and as you go to the White House, just within that quarter mile, just around the White House, you see homeless everywhere in the parks surrounding the White House and other places. Hey, Congressman, let me go to something totally different internationally. This is the NBC News headline: White House is considering inviting Zelensky to Alaska. Here we go. We've got the Alaska summit going to be this Friday. Putin wants to keep the Donbass region that they've captured. Zelensky's saying, you're out of your mind. We're not ceding any land to you guys. So what do you think? I mean, President Trump's the master at the art of the deal, but is there really a deal to be had in the first place? I mean, this thing, listen, bless his heart, as they say right down in Tennessee, but President Trump, good luck trying to get this thing done, because you got both sides pretty entrenched. What do you think?
And they say, bless his heart. Then they say, we need to pray for him. Everybody asks, what about? That's the way you gossip in the church, is to say you're going to pray for somebody. But you found out they got some sin in their life. And the sin in our life right now is the egos of Zelensky and Putin. And we've got and Trump's the guy. Again, he is a negotiator. But one thing you got to remember, we're not talking about putting boots on the ground. I think what Trump's going to tell them is the economic power of this country is going to be involved in this. Putin, you need to get to the dadgum table, or we're going to cut off all your oil, because we are now producing again. We've got a real leader at Pennsylvania Avenue. And Zelensky needs to quit stealing our dadgum money. He even admitted that he doesn't know where half of that money we sent him, and that's $200 billion. And the third thing you got to watch is Congress, because you've got people that are profiting from this. and I call them war pimps, the Pentagon, all these defense contractors, everybody's profiting from this thing, except for the people that are on the ground, the poor people in Russia and in Ukraine, the kids that are being killed. You see kids snatched off the street in Ukraine and drafted in their forced draft. Russia, I'm sure, does something even worse. They're bringing in mercenaries. This thing is an awful, awful land war. And our military intelligence, as they so called it, is sort of like congressional ethics. Remember, they said this thing was going to be a 2 or 3 week war. It wasn't. We overcompensated. We miscommunicated, and we said Russia had all this power. And they're basically, their GDP is somewhere between Canada's and France. America, only involvement we need is right there where Trump is doing, and he's doing a power play. It's Alaska. Remember, we got Alaska from Russia, if I remember correctly, from my history. So there's a lot going on there. Trump's playing the game. He understands it. If anybody can deliver, it's him. I'm not, I'm not overcompensating for Trump, because I love watching everybody. The big beautiful bill, the cryptocurrency. Oh, he's not going to do this by the 4th of July. He's not going to do this. He gets engaged and he does it.
Mm-hmm. Congressman, you're praising the president. One of the things that I think you would agree you've been somewhat critical of the administration for is its handling of the Epstein Files case. You're on record calling for more transparency. Vice President J.D. Vance, in fact, praising House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer when it comes to the issue of subpoenas in the Epstein Files case. Here's what he had to say, and we'll talk on the other side.
While the Democrats have tried to make this Epstein thing about anything but the fact that Democrat billionaires and Democrat political leaders went to Epstein Island all the time, who knows what they did, but it's totally reasonable to ask these questions. What you saw in the House's subpoena is they are trying to investigate all of the things related to this particular case. I know a lot of Americans want answers. I certainly want answers. And I think James Comer and the team of the House, they're doing the right thing. And of course, we know that Clinton, or allegedly he went to the island 26 times, 28 times. Totally appropriate for Comer to be asking what was going on at that island.
Congressman, you have the floor for about 45 seconds, sir.
All right, 100%. I couldn't agree with my buddy J.D. Vance anymore. I'm the one that asked for the subpoena for Miss Maxwell. I've asked for transparency. Look, I've passed some of the toughest laws in the country. I passed ICAC, Internet Crimes Against Children in Tennessee. I tried to get chemical castration. I passed a death penalty. It was ruled unconstitutional. It's been ruled constitutional since then. Same law, different court. Look, I've held the hand of people that have been molested. And it's a life sentence, brother. And when I meet my maker and he asked me what I did for the least amongst them, and that was Jesus who said that, I'm going to say, dadgummit, I did everything I could. And we've got to get to the bottom of this. If they had the goods on Trump, you know good and well, they had those files for 4 years. They would have released it. This is just a big blustering thing. They're trying to get their names off the front page, because the biggest story when all this was going on was, who's going to be the leader of New York? It was going to be, and they said, oh, you're a communist. And he said, oh, no, I'm not a communist. I'm a socialist. And that was their selling point. That's why they had to get off the front page. That's why they're changing gears over to Epstein. This thing I don't think we're ever going to know the truth. And did he have a client list? Heck no. Criminals don't keep, successful criminals don't. He seemed to be, Epstein was pretty successful, but I guess he's dealing with the devil now. And I support total transparency on this thing. And I believe the president does too. He's been pretty specific. He said, I banned this dirtbag from Mar-a-Lago over 15 years ago before he was suicided. So I don't have any problems with the president or the White House on anything they've done. I think they've been excellent, except Pam Bondi, when she released those white folders that had everything we already knew. I just think she was in over her skis. She didn't know like you and I would know what was going on. Yeah. So I think it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And lately, Miss Bondi's been finishing pretty strong. Yeah,
Pam Bondi allegedly had that client list on her desk. I think, like you said, maybe that wasn't handled very well. But Congressman Burchett, please stick around. We have a lot more questions for you. Got to take a quick break here. But coming up, we will ask Congressman Burchett about the potential upcoming government shutdown. And later, FBI Director Kash Patel is speaking out on the success of combating crime in the country. How much progress has been made? We will tell you ahead on American Sunrise. Stay with us.